Okay, well, it's not on this sheet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the screen here.
I move that, we include the construction of Fire Station 3. 1.9.
Have a second?
That's it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed?
Thank you all for your work and your help. Thank you.
Capital projects. Here, this covers a lot. The software for Tyler Fire Station, Sheriff's Office, District Courts, and the parking garage.
We get a contract on the parking garage that was never being funding approved. So now might be a good time to approve the funding of it, assuming we're moving forward.
I would double check that motion, I'm pretty sure we included the account for it to come through in that. But I can check that here, I'll take this slide.
While she's checking that, let's move on to the welfare of the library. We've already talked that to death, so we're done with that. There's moving the employees, the cluster court starts September 1st, I think. Mike, I think we're still working on getting the judges being built.
We received calls today from ECJ, they modernized and worked with another contractor to get a second call.
Can you give me an estimate?
7,000 was for the judge's bench for the lien section, that's TDCJ building. 7,000.
Can we just see us if anybody on that? Portable, we can move it to another building when and then we get to
You can
build.
move this furniture to another building.
I'd like to.
No, the tournament had to fix this yet.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so
we add the 7,000 somewhere, I guess.
yes. Sure wish we could have moved that one that's in the district clerk's office now. That would have been
The way
nice.
it was built in.
You ever heard of the chainsaw?
The other item, Judge, I would like for y'all to discuss is when we move these services up to the city, do you want to maintain both the Lexus software and the Westlaw software? Do bring in a library fees to do that, I believe, but I'll need neighbors, some attorneys to look at the quotes that we've been given to make sure it's a good.
On that order, I have been told that, someone told me that that's against the law, it's breaking the law, which is to move that out of our building. And I told them absolutely not, because we're putting it in the city. Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything with it, they can show us where they're getting that.
Yeah, I'll be interested in that.
Well, I blew it off anyway, so, it's scary. So do we need to do Lexus, Nexus, and
That's what we're offering now. And I will bring proposals to you if that's what you wanted to do, I just didn't know whether to proceed with the company.
Is it needed?
Well, this would be, well, I don't know, but, I mean, we have Lexus in our office that we use for our research, and the DA's office, I think, has the same. Lexus right now.
Yes, because my understanding, Lexus was last before, and so everybody went to Lexus, but I can tell you, pretty much the consensus of the folks in the office is, they think that's a bad move.
We do it, but anyway, the idea is, if I understand it right, this is just for people who come into the library and want to research.
It doesn't pay for years.
Right, this is not our, that's what the judges do.
Availability of those.
Yeah, it's a win-win, it's a service.
So what's the difference in Lexus, Nexus, and Westlaw? The law is the law, why they have
The
difference?
difference is that old school lawyers like myself went to law school. Actually, they didn't have Westlaw when I was in law school. But the older the attorney is, the more they train on Westlaw, and that's what they've been using. my young attorneys could care less. Is that accurate, Scott? I mean, the guys.
I'd say that's probably about
I
right.
mean, they use both, and there's kind of differences.
I think
between
people who
how-
do, I think people who do heavy appellate work prefer Westlaw,
Yeah.
because some of its features, people who do more general research
Yeah.
probably aren't Westlaw.
Not that much difference.
Let me ask you this, Jerry, what does the city currently have available?
They don't.
They don't have anything, so we're just moving our stuff to their building. So
So we've
what do you
done
think?
both in the past.
So y'all wanna go over here?
I can bring proposals, I guess, and let y'all see the dollars, if y'all will be looking at.
Okay. So we'll discuss this on Monday, Commissioner's Court, is that all right?
Judge, I do have a couple
Yes.
questions on the capital projects. On the 250,000, core, is that court building? It's kind of cut off a little, I'm not sure. Courts building 250,000, what's in scope for that project?
Anything with architects or any, demolition contracting, engineers, that type of thing.
Okay, and then the additional 250,000 contract services courts building?
I'm sorry, I didn't say that. The construction would be more of the specific demolition, and the contract services would be the architects.
And then the 500,000,
Is if we get as far as having a general contractor work done,
there's $1 million in there for
correct?
whatever that feature might be. Correct.
Anything else on, capital are we still waiting on the figure on the capital projects?
Yeah, well, I think we're both looking at the old minutes to see where we can find it, but I think at this point it needs to stay in, because we're now in the contract, so I think we keep it in. One thing to be, just to remind everybody, on that contract, we did not exchange dollars with the city on the parking garage, kind of on purpose, but, it was not until 50%, if I remember right, when the project started, or halfway through, and then 50% when it's done. So we do have some items in there to protect us along the way, whatever the project might look like.
Okay. Okay, we can move on now to, do we need to vote on the Lexus thing in the Westlaw? Okay, you're gonna bring that back, sorry. Extension services, we're gonna revisit the auto allowance. Commissioner Church had a question on that.
I think the proposal was that we go to just a monthly allotment.
Okay, and I apologize, I missed some of the meetings due to programming, but again, Judge and Commissioners, thank you for giving us this opportunity here today, we appreciate it. Just want to give you an overview for some of the people in the room. The Extension Service has extension agents. I'm a family and consumer science agent. Austin Bull is our ag agent, and Tina, our office manager and program assistant. We do provide community-based educational programs in Potter County for our families. Our goal and mission is to strengthen Texas, Potter County families, of course, Texas families, but we are stationed in Potter, so Potter families. We did want to say that we have not had a full staff since October of 2014. We're excited now that as of September 1st, we will be having our full staff, so we'll be doing some excellent programs. We did submit a request for an increase in our travel funds of an additional $500. And this request, we just want to give you a broad overview. This request is used for us to provide those necessary educational programs, for us to go out into the community, because as I mentioned, we do provide community-based education. A lot of our programs, we could not reach these families through our office, so we did have to be out in the community, building those relationships, those partnerships, and providing that education for our families. I know a lot of you already know this, but we want to go ahead and state that we're proud to say that we do work as a team now to utilize our funds, our travel funds, to make sure that we have that flexibility, so all the agents are able to meet the needs of our families. And some months we may have a higher program demand, and so having that funding in that line item allows us that flexibility to do that, okay? Of course, the fuel does allow us to reach out to more broader audiences, to reach out to diverse audiences, to reach out and create those partnerships with our communities, and to reach our program goals and objectives, because if we are not able to get out in our community, then we're not able to provide those programs. So we do appreciate your support of our staff of the Extension Service, and if you have any questions, we can answer those. The Extension agent, Austin, can interject if he'd like.
Do you have anything that you want to change?
Are we are pulling the 3,600 up, is that right, of salary?
What's funded right now, 3,600 is coming out of the salary, and then we've increased it to,
So $300 a month will be for auto expense.
correct, but we bumped it up to 450 to do away with
The gas.
And I think that's our biggest concern for us, is if we actually put pencil and paper to that, and you include the 150 in paychecks, and you account for the tax bracket that all of us fall in,
About a 25% average.
as well as the $150 is a drop from 6,000, if you total all that together, it's a drop. That would be cutting our fuel budget by a little over 30%. If you look at that compared to what it's been in the past, I don't know how far back that goes. But it would be taking, when you tax it, we're already taxed on it.
It shouldn't be taxed, but
We were told
We
it
were
was
under
going
the,
to
we
be
were under the
taxed.
understanding.
So yes,
It would
we
be
do need to
taxed.
clarify that.
yes.
It only gives us $112 of usable fuel versus $166 that we have.
well, here's our concern. When we studied the mileage you reported versus the gas that you spent, there were some months, some people were getting like less than 3 miles per gallon. It's not our job to pay for commutes. It's not our job to pay for your car. It's our job to pay for your expenses while you're doing your job. So that's my concern, that we don't get into that again like we had.
Right, and we do realize that.
And I, if you'll allow me to be frank for a second, I think there's if you look at, I can only speak for some that I know of, there's probably a reason that we're better off if they're on here. And I'll say that, and believe it as well. I think that, that we have something in place now, that if allowed to stay where it has been, financial, of course, that's something that's really important, it's just the financial support. That we can really do some really cool things out of our office, and reach an audience that hasn't even been thought of. Being in schools, I mean, just if you look at our last quarterly report, we reached 900 youth through agriculture education. That's something that we brought up earlier in some of the earlier conversations. Education and involvement in those kids, gaining that education, whether it be a formal one in the form of a diploma or outside education for future use. I think we're a very integral part of that. And I think making that large of a cut to our fuel budget, which I don't want to use the word cripple, but it sure would help to tie our hands behind our back in delivering those programs.
You don't have to sell me on extension. I mean, I spent 36 years doing that, and I think it was a great program. But I am concerned when we see those kinds of reports. So, this is what I recommend.
So you recommend?
Well, do you still want to have your 300 a month split out?
Well,
Well,
I don't think that's part of this. I think that's
That's something different.
formality. It's a form called a CB5 that I know comes once a year and
Yes.
isn't
It
just a
has to be
full.
lost 5 members every year. it.
A lot of blame.
Yeah, we're here, and we would like to have the fuel cards and not decrease that from 2,000 to 1,800. Because if it's 150 flat rate, it decreases our fuel. So feel like we're going
Okay,
backwards
so you
instead of forward.
prefer the fuel cards?
We prefer to keep the fuel
A
cards,
separate
a
line.
separate line item.
You don't want that? You
When
don't,
you
No,
say
I'm
you
not
have
saying-
concern, but
Okay.
now he's
I am concerned at how they've been used.
okay, I got you, okay.
And I'd be willing to give them another shot at the same level as.
Well, that's what also that conversation, what I'm hearing is that concern that you had was on a prior
I know that, but
administration. And
I don't understand, if we had a previous concern with how we were expensing that, I would like to think we would have addressed it at the time and not with individuals that we don't have that concern with.
I agree.
That's just my own opinion. I mean, if they're all saying as a unified group that they need the gas card and the other pieces of formality, we don't have a problem with it. I support that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Do you need that in the motion, Judge? or-
I guess,
I didn't know that I was against it. I was just saying this is the concerns. Now
Okay.
you're putting words into my mouth.
It's not my intention.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well, I think we did it unanimous. Unanimous agree that we would probably keep it as it has been.
okay. So whatever we agreed on last week, we'll go back to that. Is that what we're saying, basically?
Will you recap for us, Carrie, just so we know we're all in agreement? And I'm looking to them to make sure they understand you.
Okay, we will pull 3,600 out of the existing base salary and classify it as auto allowance. It will come across on your paycheck as auto allowance and it will be fully taxable. We will keep the 6,000, or do you want to give them the increase of 500, 6 or 6,500 in their fuel account?
I support the additional 65, or the additional 5, just because I know that they've been more aggressive in giving out to other areas of the county.
Okay, so that will be available for you to purchase with gas cards that will be issued from our office.
Thank you.
You know that gas prices are down a bunch.
Yeah, they are.
And actually, at the $540 or $5,400 a year at $3 a gallon and 15 miles per gallon, that allows 27,000 miles worth of gas a year for each agent.
Okay.
And I
Look at this perspective, doesn't it?
Well, I can only speak for
In this
my
moment,
last year performance. I registered 56,700 and some change.
within the county,
Correct. Well, no, not
see,
within the county.
this is
Work
supposed to
state.
be within the county expenses, not outside county. We already have another plan for
Yes,
outside
yes.
county expenses.
That's correct.
Okay, so we need to make a motion to change to, or can we just leave it like it was when, are we?
If you want to just leave it, then it will be in your proposal when you'll actually vote on the budget and supplemental.
Okay. Does that sound good?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
We'll do that.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Okay, constables, we're just gonna talk today right now, we can't discuss the resignations of Constable Precinct 2, but we're gonna talk about the possibility of whether or not to, replace him. He has moved out of state. And so we have a possibility of, wanting someone to fill this position or use the vehicle for one of the other constables. That's the option we have today.
Wait a minute, okay, two options.
Mm-hmm.
To replace Constable 2, who has submitted the resignation.
Which is an agenda item for Monday, just to be clear, so we cannot, I don't feel, and I'm looking at dates, I don't feel like we could take action on any of
It's not
that.
on the agenda today, so we're not.
So we don't need to discuss that, no?
No.
Okay.
You can discuss it,
Yeah.
and the actions can take, just accept his resignation. Really, there's not much to discuss, you have to accept the.
We would accept the resignation and we
And
would,
you can't really turn it down. I mean, so it's just kind of, it's really
It's
really
a
kind of
record.
record keeping.
It's a record.
Okay, we accept the resignation. Yes.
you can't take that
But
question
you
today.
can, obviously, this opens up some questions about budget, I think you can legitimately talk. Why? That's, I mean, it's not like we have to ignore it.
Right, what do you
But
usually?
what we'll be talking about if you can't discuss the replacement and all.
Like I said, that's it. How do we
Yeah, when we do that.
how do we not talk about it if we're gonna talk about replacement and how we're not talking about him?
Right.
I'm not him specifically, but.
I don't think you have to avoid talking about whether you're going to replace them.
Yeah.
You just can't do it today.
Okay.
But you can talk, you can make budget considerations in the order of, if we replace the constable, what are we looking at in terms of expenditures for that particular office?
Well, it's not necessarily that we have to replace.
You don't have to, no.
And just to be clear, on Monday, when we take formal action, you know, I think we'll accept the resignation, but part of the discussions will be if the court chooses to fill that, which obviously I would support, filling that in his absence, because someone would not take office until January of 2017, should we leave that vacant. So as it relates to the vehicle in the budget item.
Actually, I think they can take office as soon as they qualify once you appoint them, because there is a vacancy once you have accepted the
You're saying,
resignation.
are you saying you don't?
If she
You
said,
don't
she
appoint
said you
somebody.
don't.
Oh, okay, I got you, okay, I misunderstood, my apologies.
So the vehicle, in my opinion, kind of needs to be in reserve for whatever that appointment process is like. And I'm assuming this is kind of back for discussion because we were vetting out 2 constables' cars
Right.
that are in the budget currently. So I think we need to leave his vehicle on reserve until.
That's all proper discussion.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah.
For Monday. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so,
The vehicles we'll be discussing today, I guess, would be precinct 4 and precinct 1.
Well, they're still in the budget.
they're in the budget, we've already discussed this, yeah, they're in there, so on Monday, we'll talk further about the process of appointing someone to take Maurice's place, okay? Okay, facilities maintenance, we did cut the mowers, and I think Mike wants to talk about that.
I would ask that y'all please put this back in the budget. These 2 mowers right here, they're 2005 models. They use them more than just mowing and grooming the yard. They also use them for snow removal. Many years ago, we had a mower go down throughout the year. We did come to Commissioner's Court and they had to replace it at that time because it was used for the same reason. I would not have put this on here if I did not feel it was warranted to go ahead and replace these mowers at this time.
Why were they taken off?
In the process of saving money, Commissioner.
Well, you know, this is a pretty important aspect of what facilities does during the year. And
Oh, no, you're not preaching to the choir here, I've bragged about our yard for a whole year.
and if we had the equipment go down, it would be the next thing to do. Have an emergency purchase maybe.
We have done that before.
I would be inclined to put those items back into the budget. I think they're necessary items.
And it's 22,000, 22,906. There's 2 of them listed, it's the Walker MT23 lawnmower, is that it?
Yes. That's for 22,906.
So the ones you have now, Mike, are 2005,
Or
you bought in
2005,
2005, and just worn out.
Worn out.
I'm gonna make a motion on that.
I'll make a motion that we do replace, put these items back in the budget.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand.
Thanks.
And just for the record, just so any of you are wondering, I took the Santa Fe door project and the additional security for the tax office, took that out. I apparently did not have the backup for that, so I'm just gonna say right here in front of everybody, I'm not happy about it. I think it's wrong that we're not opening the doors on Park Street. And I think it's equally wrong that we're not going to secure the tax office. So with that said, we'll take that out and move on. And we're down to cost of living increase.
Judge, there were a couple of budgets that we did, but I don't know when you maybe need to wait till your computer comes back up.
Judge, if I could ask you a question, two more items. Grounds maintenance, where we had the trees in there was reduced from 35.1 down to 26, is that correct?
It's a good question, Mike. I can't see it. It's not on my.
That's what y'all had addressed last time, I just want to make sure.
We reduced it to 26.
26 is what you took that account to.
So far this year, you've spent 34,000.
So for purchases, trees, what is it?
Is that
That's for the replacement, that was, to reduce the cost to replace the trees. Lower the-
Here, where?
That's basically, it's kind of like an insurance policy for our younger trees that are on the lawn that we do lose due to insects.
Out of our budget, Commissioner, we set aside 17,100 on the line item. And that was reduced from what I understood down to 9,000. That particular line
Are there more trees that need to be replaced?
Not currently.
Not currently. Do we get a hold of the beetle bark bug?
Wait and see.
You want to take that back up to 35 on what you put.
I'm asking, I can keep it where it is.
Where is it currently? 34.1? Or
30.
did you have 35.1?
35.1, 1,000 was added for the Fire Station 3 project to do that special landscaping out there, and Nick's gonna do that.
Oh, we are, we have it in. We not?
$1,000. It was part of his just regular grounds maintenance. And part of it is kind of like my tennis trees. They
Was the tree?
$2,500 cost per tree, but our average cost is actually closer to $700.
And honestly, those costs come in, we've got to look at what the most expensive tree that we have as far as a variety goes to replace. And that's where the figure came from when we looked at those trees, when this was implemented into the budget.
Do you believe those are stuff?
No.
This is part of the tree replacement program that we have started 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe longer than that, when we did the courthouse project. Since then, Nick has, planted trees at JP3 County Extension, around the county, trying to get it back in check. The last item, Judge, was the floor care. I increased that by 1/4. The total amount of increase was raised by $5,800. Last year, we were right at the 23.2, is that correct, Carrie, on our actual expenditures? How last year? Oh, you're down? Okay. It was right at that number.
Well, that, yeah, $23,050, yes.
So you're asking 29.1 this year for that?
That would be basically Nick works it in quarters, so he's asking for an additional quarter to continue that to go do the increases.
So you want to put all that back in?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else have any questions on it?
You're not agree to do 2,600 on that, 26,000. Last meeting. figure out
On which one?
on the janitor's supplies.
I think Kerry, you said they'd split that, you had split that, Judge, I think.
Did we?
Right, the current budget request to take out half.
Yeah, that's the one you take the 26.
Well, it's page 12. Well, I'm not talking about a whole lot of money here, if we put it back in.
That would not be unopposed.
Okay. We need to vote on that. Just to bring it back to where it was. Can we just do that without voting? Yeah, okay, Carrie, we'll just put that, all that back in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Let's talk about one more thing before we start talking about salaries. Take home vehicles. Yeah, you have, your department has them, sheriff's office obviously. Is there, road and bridge, do you have take home vehicles? Is there any specific reason why so many are taken home? I mean, I understand a few, but in each one, I'm not singling anybody out, just asking. Who all takes one home in your department?
I do take them home on 24/7 emergency response.
The same thing with IT, we take ours home, especially if there's gonna be inclement weather or something like that. Where a personal vehicle might not make it through the snow.
How many take home, Jason? Just one people,
Yeah.
whoever's on the
I'll,
budget.
I'll the one to take it home.
I didn't know IT had it.
We should be paying taxes on that.
Well, it's normally, like last year, maybe like 4 days.
What kind of car do you have? What kind of car do we
It's
use?
a truck.
It's a truck.
So you don't take it home every day?
No,
No, it's just if the weather's getting bad,
Right, if it's gonna snow 18 inches, then I normally take the truck on one off.
but not every day.
Well, do you mind coming and picking me up if it does?
I'll be glad to. And in fact, I've gone by, picked up 2 or 3 of my employees on that.
And we should have, who else? Road and bridge. Sure.
Yeah, road bridge, how many take home?
We got 3,
3?
all pickups, 4-wheel drive.
And it's all because of emergency, in case of an emergency.
So we get called out in different, sometimes different areas, and we just split up and go, especially in the summer.
You're talking fire specifically.
Yeah, fires, winters, snow and stuff like that, water, that we've had so much of.
Okay, Sheriff, how many cars do you take home? Not you specifically, but you just take one, you
We have 9 for our admin, and we have 4 for our CID investigators who are on call 24/7. And we have 3 for our CSU.
16 total.
You have 9 admin cars that go home? Can you be more specific? A little bit more specific, more information, why so many? I'm just,
We're all subject to call out when there's something happening.
all of them are subject to call out?
We go out if there's something going on. So just having call in people.
Okay, that was just something I wanted to talk about.
It would be interesting though, Judge, to dive into that, I mean, not in this session, but to know how many times in a year we're actually called out in an emergency. And if we ever reassess, if we need that many vehicles, maybe department by department. And again, just thinking outside the box, but it takes a little work up front to see how many emergencies, I know you can't plan for that, but it just would be interesting to add some framework around it.
Okay, so is there any questions on what we've done so far, anybody?
I have a couple questions on some of the accounts, as Carrie has that backed up. Carrie, I'm on page 13 of budget work papers, the courthouse 1405 account. And there's, I don't know, roughly 200,000 there. Outside of the utilities, I guess really my question is on the building repair, 71,000. If we still need that for the courthouse. there. That's what I'm wondering is,
I don't know if you had a chance to review Mike's book, he breaks it out by specific items. He has the annual fire alarm inspection and annual sprinkler inspection, extermination, chiller maintenance, fire extinguisher inspections, backflow inspections. He has every item that he has done to the buildings listed. This general building repair of that amount is only $28,500. And that's just for whatever comes up on a day-to-day basis.
okay. And then, there was, at least on the work paper, so I may have changed on the screen, same page, but the 14-15 account, the library, there's still the building repairs and maintenance and utilities. When we first started this, I was wondering if we still needed this, but we're moving the new court into that area. Our new child support area.
That's
You're
different.
this is, no, not law library, this actual library here. Okay. So then I go back to my question for the 10,000 that's slotted for that. Does anybody still use that? I know you did during projects, but.
As far as all you 5 court members are concerned, yes, I do use it.
What do you mean, as far as you're concerned? Everybody else,
Use
no?
media, forget word. We have to keep the building grandfathered. Once you shut that building down and you do not declare an office within that building as a useful building, you've lost your grandfather clause. We have maintained an office within that building ever since I've been here.
That would be nice to do some public tours or something. It's really a pretty building and has a lot of history to it. I don't think people really know.
Otter County was the first county in the state of Texas to ever have its own county.
Yes. On the page 16 of the budget work papers, Bowie Annex, which was the 1465 account, there's 13,000 in there for building repair and maintenance. Do we need that much?
That's for the, what is it again?
On page 16 up at the top, Bowie Annex, oh, right here. This one?
It's right here. That should be right.
Engineer.
That's probably known quantities for us to school images. The only building I've used out there is the old.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mike.
Anything else?
Sorry, Judge, I'm just going through my notes here. Did we, on county court at law number 2, that's budget work papers 35, account 2200. There was, 1150 in there, 500 for body armor. Did we leave that in? I didn't write down what we talked about this account. And then an increase for ammo, 400 for ammo.
We did that.
They're still in there.
I'm sure it's because the bailiff has to be certified.
Yeah, it was the increase in ammo that caught my attention. I don't know how that relates to county court at law number 1. I was thinking, compare those here. So they slotted in education and travel, is where they,
Yeah.
They are required to get, and I'm not saying that should be certified.
what is the, education and travel for county court at law 1? 15, and so theirs would be 2,100. County court at law is 2. I wonder why the discrepancy, do you know?
Because court law 2 specifically asks for additional funds for ammo. County court law number 2 for specific funds to purchase ammo.
More funds for them. I just don't know why they would need more than the other county court at law 1. Do you know, Sheriff, can you help me at all? No? I mean, I don't know from a certification perspective of ammo or any of that.
It was a certified, they certified, so.
Are we leaving it in? We'll see. And then page 65 on the work papers, 5320 is the account. I'm trying to, is this part of what got moved over to one of the departments?
Yes.
And then page 66, the family crime unit, 5330. I'm just cross-checking these numbers here.
See that?
What page?
Page 66 on the budget work papers. And it's the, yeah, 5330 is the account. The education and travel, is that that's a new request this year?
No, they, our budget is 15.
They just maybe haven't used it in the last couple of years? Is that, there's nothing in there? What department does this fall into?
That's in
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's those expenditures relate to CPS and primarily CPS as well as protective orders.
Okay. And then the increase, Scott, in the copier? Is that just with the Michael Morton Act and all the
Yes,
copying?
we're having to provide a great deal more information, so we'll learn more copies.
Okay.
Hopefully, as we transition to electronic all the way across the board, that will start to go down.
I wonder if you can keep records, something of how much we print today, and when we have all this technology, of how much we'll print tomorrow. That'd be a great story for our taxpayers.
Yeah. That we could probably do
Okay, good, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Carrie, can you give me a drum roll?
Well, except for my computer restarted it, so much, I just don't have to go back and add all in. But I will tell you, the last time I looked, and it was after we had added some of the larger items, we were at 1.9 million short. So, but I will get all this updated, I think I have to do it, so maybe, I'll go get it all updated.
Can you recover it? Is there like an auto save on her feature? Jason will take care of it. There's an auto save, but I know it's.
So right now, we're at 1.9.
About that, yes, we made a few changes after that, but I find that was an idea.
Did we left our scanner in, correct?
I believe that we did, yes, half of it out of the general fund and half out of the court records.
Okay. So we're 1.9, I think we're gonna be a little bit more, I think we're gonna go over that. I'm just saying, it looks like, with it, after your computer crashed, we need some more, I'm sure. So, hey guys, what do you wanna do? That's without raises or anything, so.
Any of the money left over from this year?
Not much.
No, it'd be a lucky for break even year.
We could look at the fire station again, because there's 2 million slot there. I'm getting Commissioner Von Smirk over there.
About 75,000 we just gave the city.
Yay, Commissioner, these are constituents in your county. How about the 200,000 for the road for 25 people?
I'm gonna.
All right,
I'm gonna-
we're throwing the daggers, we're throwing the daggers. It's not productive. Okay.
Well, you started it.
Okay.
We're supposed to sit here with our hands on our feet?
Okay. So we are, just for the record, just so you know, we haven't raised taxes. Potter County has not raised taxes in the last 6 years, is that right, Karen? So,
3 of the last 6 years, we have not raised taxes, but the total that we've raised in the last 6 years is about 0.5%. And I do have a spreadsheet, I'll try to bring it up.
And the tax rate that you're working off of is the effective tax rate,
Correct,
not the current rate that's being paid.
correct.
so in order to break even with what we are over, what would we have to raise it to?
Or could we start with the current rate and see where we are? But I know that's probably hard to do, Carrie, without your numbers in there.
It is. Last policy, I guess, was I think it was 1.7, so we would need to have at least 300,000. I think here, we're looking at 4.75% to do a break even.
Have an increase?
Yes.
How does that compare to this year's rate?
That would put us at, well, it looks like percent raise, which is like 6. 3.12 and 6.2.
$6,642.
Some of the local entities over the last 5 years, our total tax increases.
So you can easily see that Potter County is the lowest.
In terms of the increase, not the rate.
Right.
Yeah, raise.
Double the rate.
This is the increase over the effective rate. And like I say, the 6th year, I don't have that because I didn't have the effective rates for the other entities, but Potter County did not have the increase on the 6th year.
This is the least fun part of my job.
It's always a frustrating point because in our county, you know, I always describe Potter County as 2 ends of the spectrum. You know, we are affluently wealthy and are very, very poor, and so this tax rate, you know, hurts people differently based on their income. So I see Randall counties, and they're middle to high end. And so I always often have to explain our budget dollars are fairly equal, but our rates are night and day, and here's the why, but.
What's the average home these days, 90 something?
90,000.
What would that go, what would that increase, what would it go up per year?
If you went with the 4.75%, it would be $27.20 a year for the average home.
Salary increases and, I think we'll have some of those, I think, a whole lot. So,
So Judge, once Carrie gets her numbers back in, should we use our next session to start looking through what the impact of that is? I think it's kind of hard to do it without those.
Yeah, can we do that, on Monday, it's Monday, okay, with y'all, do it court?
We'll have a chance to talk about employee raises and stuff like that.
Yes, if you pray really hard. Really hard.
I'm willing to report though that a 1% tax increase generates about $414,000 and a 1% salary increase costs $292,000.
Say that one more time, say that one more time.
A 1% tax increase brings in $414,000, and that's our 98% collection rate. And a 1% salary increase costs us $292,000.
I do think we have to be cautious to raise taxes just for the increase. I mean, I'd like to think we could be smart with our spending so that we can offset that with an increase for our employees. They deserve it.
Absolutely, and I think that we can look at some innovative things, and I think we discussed this as far as in collections and, other areas we'll look at. I think we'll probably harness some of
We've been at this since 1 o'clock, trying to be smart about how we spend our money, so, every office and every department needs what they need, so I don't know where to put a stop to that. You know, I mean, everyone's office is important, everyone's department's important, and every employee is important. So, and we cannot forget the employees, we cannot forget the employees. So we have to rethink this, somehow. We have to rethink it, so. We are adjourned as of now, we'll reconvene on Monday, with a new agenda item on Monday. Thank you, everybody.